In a dark room in the heart of New York, the only light comes from a cold blue screen. Sarah wipes a tear, then hits post on a photo captioned, "Finding my inner peace." Ting, a like. Ting, a heart. As the notifications flood in, her hands continue to tremble. The world is clapping for her strength, but in the silence, Sarah has never felt more empty. She is healing for an audience, but her soul is still starving in the dark. Sarah drove for hours, leaving the neon lights and the constant noise of the city behind for the misty, quiet forests of Oregon. As she pulled into her grandfather Elias's old farm, her eyes never left the screen. She checked her phone while walking to the porch, and she checked it again while unpacking her bags. Every few minutes, her thumb scrolled instinctively, searching for a comment, a notification, or any sign that her healing journey was being seen by the world. Grandpa Elias stood quietly by the wooden railing. He watched his granddaughter as she held up her phone, trying to capture the perfect angle of the sunset over the valley. She spent more time choosing a filter than she did looking at the horizon. The camera was like a wall between her and the world around her. She was so busy documenting her peace that she didn't have any peace at all. Elias sat down on the steps and waited. Finally, Sarah put the phone down, but only to check her engagement numbers. "The air is different here, isn't it?" Elias asked softly. Sarah nodded, her eyes already drifting back to the blue light. "It's so beautiful. My followers are going to love this view." The old man looked at her with kindness and a touch of sadness. "Tell me something, Sarah. Are you trying to heal? Or are you just trying to prove to everyone that you are healing?" Sarah's hand stopped mid-air. The silence of the farm suddenly felt very loud. Grandpa Elias walked to the shed and returned with a small ceramic jar filled with rich, dark soil. He held it out to Sarah. "I have a task for you," he said calmly. "Inside this soil is a tiny seed. I want you to take it down to the cellar where there is no light at all." Sarah looked at him, puzzled. "The cellar?" Elias nodded. "Every morning you will go down and give it a little water. But there are 2 rules. First, you must never bring it into the light. And second, you must not take a single photo or tell a single person about it for 30 days. Sarah let out a frustrated laugh. "Grandpa, that's impossible. Plants need sunlight to grow. Everyone knows that. And what's the point of doing all this work if no one even knows I'm doing it? Why can't I share the journey?" The old man's expression remained peaceful. "The sunlight of the crowd is a burning light, Sarah. It doesn't nourish. It withers. It makes you focus on the beauty of the leaf while your roots are dying of thirst." He stepped closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Right now, you are trying to bloom before you have even been planted. You are exhausted because you are performing your growth instead of actually growing." He placed the jar firmly in her hands. "There are some things in life that can only begin when they are wrapped in darkness and silence. This seed doesn't need an audience to find its strength. It needs the quiet. And so do you." Sarah looked down at the cold ceramic. For the first time in years, she wasn't thinking about her followers. She was wondering if something could truly grow where no one was watching. Sarah left her phone on the kitchen table and walked down the creaky wooden stairs into the cellar. At first, the silence was deafening. Her thumb twitched, reaching for a screen that wasn't there. But as the days passed, something changed. In the absolute darkness, Sarah began to listen. She didn't hear notifications or the opinions of strangers. She heard her own breath. She heard the beat of her own heart. For the first time in years, she wasn't trying to be strong for anyone else. She was just there. She thought about the seed in the jar. To a seed, being buried feels like the end of the world. It is dark, heavy, and lonely. To sprout, the seed's outer shell must crack open. That is a moment of deep pain. But without that breaking, there is no life. The soil isn't there to bury the seed. It is there to protect it. It holds the seed close, keeping it safe from the cold and the wind until its roots are deep enough to stand. Sarah realized that her own darkness, her pain and her sadness, was like that soil. It wasn't her enemy. It was her nutrient. Down there, in the quiet, she finally allowed herself to be weak. She cried without checking if her face looked good. She sat in the dust without worrying about the camera angle. She realized that real healing is an internal dialogue between you and your soul, not a press conference for the world to see. The world tells us that if a moment isn't shared, it doesn't count. But the most powerful things in nature happen in total secret. The forest doesn't make a sound when the roots are growing deep. The caterpillar doesn't post updates from inside the cocoon. Darkness was no longer a place of fear for her. It was a place of preparation. She was learning that you don't need an audience to be valid. You only need to be whole. 30 days later, Sarah walked into the cellar for the final time. She didn't bring her phone. In the center of the jar, a tiny, pale green sprout had pushed through the heavy soil. It was fragile, barely an inch tall, but it was alive. Sarah didn't reach for a camera. She didn't think about filters or captions. She simply knelt down and touched the leaf with a gentle finger, a genuine smile spreading across her face. She finally understood that the value of this life wasn't in how many people saw it, but in the simple, beautiful fact that it had survived. From Sarah's story, we learn a vital truth about our own journey. If you are feeling broken or lost, do not rush to show your wounds to the world just to feel validated. True healing is not a performance. It is a transformation that happens in the quiet spaces where no one is watching. Allow yourself to be a seed in the dark. Your healing is yours alone. It is for you and only for you. Stay quiet, stay deep, and remember, the most beautiful flowers grow from the soil no one was watching.